Hello, this is Brian Galassa. We're going to do a little bit of scanning and adjusting in Photoshop today. So I've already got my scanner software open. My neighbor is working on their house, so you'll hear some pounding in the background. Apologize for that. So over here, since this is a preview, I've got my little preview box, and I can resize that slightly to just scan the image. I've got a whole big blank page here and a small image. I told you in class that 150 dpi was a good resolution to scan at. In this case, I want to make this a little bit larger, so I'm bumping up my resolution to 200 dpi, and I'm just going to go ahead and scan this just for speed's sake. See what happens. In my case, it goes to a specific place on the desktop. I already went and scanned this, so we could see what it would look like, and I'm in Photoshop now. So what I first want to do is rotate it. So rotate canvas. Whoops, get back there. Image, rotate canvas 90 degrees counterclockwise. And there, now I can see what my image looks like. I can see I've got a little bit of my binder up there, and the scan looks a little bit dark. So first step is we'll do levels, and I'll try to do this through the commands, but under Image, Adjustments, Levels, that's when you're going to use the most. It's Command L is the shortcut. And this is the best tip, the one thing if you remember. Over here there's three little eyedropper tools. The first one shows the white point. Second one is gray, mid 50% gray tone with no color in it. And this is the black point. And so what I can do is I can go in here and say, all right, I want this background to be white. And I choose my white eyedropper, and if I click over here, it turned that area into white. But I can see that up here there's a little bit, zoom in here, a little bit of the paper texture still. So I can click up there, and wherever I click, it's going to make that absolute white. So maybe that's a good start. Let's just say okay. That might be enough. I'm going to undo that. Let's do this again, Command L, and let's try it through the midpoint. So we're going to say I want this to be pure gray, and you see it kind of adjusted the color balance a little bit. I'm saying I want that to be 50% gray, no color value in it. So it's good to have somewhere on your image. Now watch if this will screw it up if I do over here, because it's thinking that that green now is supposed to be gray. It shifts everything off to a different tone. So that one you don't need to use as much. This is the most important one, this white one. Now I'm going to also show you the black one. So if I've got an area where I want it to be pure black, I click on that and it'll make that into the darkest black zone. So I could say okay. I left the background because I want to show you a different way to do this. If you have a nice clean drawing, you might be able to get away with this quick selection tool. And in that case, you just kind of paint around the area, the background. And this is not the greatest because sometimes it misses areas or it grabs areas you don't want. In this case, I want the car to be a little bit darker, and I just want the background to be light. So I'll go to Levels again. And now what I'm doing is I'm just really adjusting that background. So I can do this again. And you notice that even though I've got it selected, I've got a little bit of my shadow action in there. So, and the car has a kind of a darker tone to it, which depending on what you're looking for might help. Okay, that's good. Now, in this case, if I go back to Levels and move my, my white point all the way over here, never mind, let's try it the other way. There we go. Sorry, if I move my black point, which is this right here, all the way over here, I can start to see where there's some schmutz in here that I didn't notice, but it's there. So what I want to do is I want to delete some of this, but I don't want to delete the whole thing because then I'm going to lose some of my shadow area. So what I'll do is I'll just get my lasso tool. I'll deselect everything, which is Command D. And I'll just grab a kind of a loose selection of where all that schmutz is. and connect it and delete it. Now, if you delete and your background is black, you're going to get some color back there. So you want to make sure that if you just click on this button right here, it will put the foreground is black and the background is white. So that's kind of your default setting right there. So I noticed that I've got a feather radius on my my brush, and what that does, let's go backwards again. We'll flip that so that little thing right there switches them back and forth. So I'll show you the difference. Here is a that's a 2 pixel feather radius. Let's zoom in. And you can see it's a little bit fuzzy, and if I go up to, let's say 5, whoops, not 50. No, let's go 10. And I make another selection and delete. You can see it's getting even fuzzier. So I didn't want that. I actually wanted 0 feather radius. I got my eyedropper tool, and I'll go back here because I can see there's some little hints of stuff there I didn't grab because I was, it's kind of I had a soft selection tool. So I'll go back and just re-grab all this. Oops. And I'm going to flip this again so I got white and black and delete all that. I might do the same down here just to be safe. A little bit of stuff halo around the car is probably not too bad. It also is a little big, so I'll use the crop tool and come down and just crop it to exactly where I need. And bring those in and double click on the center, crops it. Okay, so now I got my car, and I can do a couple other things. One, I noticed my marker is a little sloppy, and there's some areas in here, for example, where this green is bled into the blue area. And so I might go and fix up a few little things like that. I've also noticed, like over here, some of my blue line pencil has shown through. So this is a time where you could spend a lot of time fixing stuff up, or you could decide that's good enough. So first of all, I'm going to choose my pen tool, a brush tool, which is right here. And over here you can choose a whole range of brushes. I just want a kind of a hard edge brush, so maybe this looks good. And click off. Oops, what did I do? Yeah. So now instead of painting normal, I've got the black selected. So that's what normal looks like. I'm going to color. So if I go up, click on normal, and go down to just color, what that will do is it'll pick up the color tone, and if I get my eyedropper and sample some color like here, or in this case I want this color, go back to my brush tool and start painting. All it's going to do is painting the color over my marker that I already did. So it's kind of nice because it doesn't ruin the texture, the textural quality of your drawing. So I notice over here there's some blue, so a shortcut is Option will give me the eyedropper. So I click a sample, and then I just draw over there. And you notice how that cleaned that up a little bit. Here, I'll do it again over here. Option, I'll pick some of the tire color, and now I'm getting rid of all that blue in the tire. And I can be kind of sloppy about this because it doesn't really matter if there's a little bit left. So there, now my tire is pure gray. There's no blue cast in it. I could do this for a little bit while longer, but I'm going to move on. But first here, let's do a little bit more in the green. So Option to sample and paint. And I'll notice, like especially here along that line, see how it changed? There was a little halo of color where the marker bled that pen line, and it turns a little bit purplish. So, but like I said, the nice thing about this is the quality of the drawing doesn't look much different. It still looks like I hand drew it, but I can clean up things without being obvious about it. The difference is if I chose this color and I went to normal and tried to clean this up, you notice that I've lost the texture and I'm actually painting over my outlines. So as I paint this, I'm kind of losing my drawing. So I prefer to leave the quality of this so it looks like a hand drawing. Here's another area where I went overboard a little bit. So, whoa, forgot to switch that back to color. So sample with option and paint. Any other big glaring obvious? There's some areas in here. So let's do the little last one. I'll sample that and paint this out. Now the other thing about doing the scan a little bit on the dark side and then wiping out the background like I did. I could actually, like here, let's do, where am I? Color, normal. Now I'm going to go back to this, it's black and white, and then switch it so I've got the white forward. I could come in here and just clean up by painting my edges as well as deleting them. So, okay, but the nice thing is I've got the white now. I could do some highlights. And because it's on a slightly darker gray background, those highlights will really pop. And what else might I need a highlight? I can also do, this is another technique I like to do. Let's say I wanted a bigger highlight. I'm going to use my lasso selection tool again. And I'll put my feather to 0. And I'll pick a area that I want, say that, and instead of painting that on, I'll airbrush the white on, and so you'll see the difference. I'll go up here to, these look like the softer brushes. There's a first row of airbrushes, and then it goes hard, and then there's a second row, and the second row works a little bit better. So choose one in the second row, and you'll see the brush size as you scoot over. And if not, I think caps key will, or caps lock. If it's cap locks is on, you'll just see the cursor, and if it's off, you'll see the whole brush. So now I want to paint on, that's a little too much, so I'll turn my opacity down slightly. I want to paint on a little bit of that. And there's another trick, Command H will hide those little marching ants, and so I can see what I'm looking at, and it's still selected, even though I'm, because sometimes they get in the way. Let's say I wanted to do a nice shine over here. Let's do this. We'll pick up a little area here. I'll pick up an area over here and an area over here. And in this case, I'm just going to airbrush. Again, I want to do this subtly, but I want to airbrush a little bit of white here. And maybe a little bit more there. Command H to hide, and you can start to see it looks a little bit shiny. So without ruining the entire quality of the drawing, I'm just accenting a little bit. So I'm going to do another little bit here. So this would be the kind of reflection. This is the horizon line, so it's a little bit darker, and then this is the sky that is being... and notice I don't even go to the edge. So basically I've got this fade out now. And there it's starting to look a little shiny. I think that looks good, so let's save it. Oh, before I do that, let's go to Image, Image Size, and this will tell me, right now it's 5:3 at 200 dpi. If you make sure that this button right here, it says Resample Image, don't check that. Leave it unchecked, because there's a difference. So what this will do is it'll change by moving the resolution down to 150 dpi. My size went up, so now it's 7 inches by 4 inches. Let's say if I wanted it 100 dpi, now it's 11 inches by 7 inches. And as I said, anywhere between 100 and 150 is probably good. So this is good. If I hit Resample and I did anything, here let's say 20, this would stay the same size, and when I say OK, it actually resamples it, and I don't want that. I just want to change the size. So let's do that again. Image, image size. And sorry, don't resample. 100 dpi. OK, and File, Save. And that's it.